This video is sponsored by Squarespace. From websites and online stores to marketing tools and analytics, build your online presence with Squarespace.
Hey everyone, there are less than 10 days left to grab your very own Ice Cream Man plush. He's only available for about another week, so you gotta grab him now. He will never ever be available again. The link is at the top of the description box below. Get him before he's gone, because like I said, when he's gone forever. So you gotta get him now. I mean, look at that face. Now, if you're new here, I'm Ace of Clay. I'm a sculptor, and every week I make a new sculpture, and today I'm sculpting Coraline. Now, Coraline is a beautiful stop motion movie directed by Henry Selick. It came out back in 2008, and it's really one of my favorite movies. It has the same sort of eerie, creepy vibe as like Corpse Bride and Nightmare Before Christmas. You can see my Nightmare Before Christmas collection behind me that we're still growing. And the sculpture has really been a long time coming. So many of you have been asking for her, and I'm really excited to start this series. Maybe if you like how this one turns out, I'll sculpt Other Mother in her big spider form. So if you're ready to jump into the world of Coraline with me, then sit back, relax. Voiceovers are back in this video. I am narrating the whole thing just like the good old days, and I really hope you enjoy this process. So check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Ace of Clay. Now let's get started. Alright, let's make Coraline. I've got my wooden plaque here with my holes drilled for my aluminum wire, and I'm going to start shaping out her body. This is one leg, go up her torso, and then bend it for the arm, and then I'm going to trim this and mirror it to create the other side. And then I'm going to add another piece of wire for her neck, and then we're going to tie everything together with some thinner wire. And as always, all the materials and tools that you see me use in this video are listed in the description box below, along with my affiliate links if you want to purchase anything. And there we go, we've got our armature. Alright, now on this piece, I want to start with her head first, so I'm just making the underlying structure out of some Super Sculpey Ultralight. I want to give myself a nice base for my final layer of clay. And then once that's baked, I'm going to start adding my Super Sculpey Original in this nice thin even sheet. Now, Coraline's face is very simple and smooth looking, and with a design that's this simple looking, you really have to pay extra attention to those proportions and where everything is placed, because if one tiny thing is off, it could throw off the entire design. So I really want to take my time with this part. I want her to look like Coraline, not Walmart Coraline. Alright, now I've got her face somewhat mapped out and I've figured out the planes. I want to start sort of indenting where her mouth is going to go, and then finishing that part off with my Explorer tool, and then we're going to start using this cylinder tool to figure out the eyes. And I want the eyes to be, of course, below the surface of her face so that they're not bulging out like crazy. So just want to indent those, make sure everything's nice and smooth, throw on her nose. And Coraline's got, in some cases, a crooked nose, so it just kind of swoops over to the right. Got to make sure you get that, because if you don't, it's not going to look like her. Remember what I said earlier? Now I'm using this shaper tool to blend that nose in, and then smoothing everything out. There was a lot of smoothing in this face process. Now to create her eyes, I just smashed a ball of clay with my fingertips, and I'm just sort of nudging it in there until it's the right shape, and then using my spoon tool to make sure everything is nice and smooth and ready to go. Gonna do this again on the other side. Now I'm gonna finish off her mouth. I added some very small lips with tiny snakes of clay, and I'm just using my Explorer tool to create that nice little indent there. And then, of course, refining things with my spoon tool. Want to make sure we get those corners of her mouth correct, and she's sort of smiling off to the side. Hey, sorry to interrupt the video. I just want to remind you really quick about the Ice Cream Man plush. He is only available for about another week. You got to grab him now, because once he's gone forever. To order him, just click the link at the top of the description box below. Now back to Coraline. There's nothing I love more than refining details. I'm not saying that sarcastically. I love adding details and finishing things off, because it means that I have achieved my goal. I'm past the hard part and we're at the fun, detail-y part. Now I've got her face to a good point. It's not done, but I'm going to take a break and switch to her body really quick. Let's just make that armature For the raincoat she's going to be wearing, I just want to shape everything out in some super sculpty ultralight. This process can be done with aluminum foil. I just prefer the ultralight because I feel like it gives me more control. Alright, looks like I've got the underlying structure figured out. Let's go ahead and bake this. And once that's baked and completely cooled down, I'm just going to add some Bake and Bond to the surface, brush that on really nice, and then start adding some super sculpty original. To get these nice even sheets, I rolled it through my pasta maker on the thickest setting. Now let's just get that clay on there, get the whole surface covered so that there is no ultralight showing. I always like to have a nice, clean, smooth base to work all my details on. Okay, now that the body's covered, let's go ahead and start her legs, rolling out a snake of clay and pressing it onto my armature wire. And if you're having trouble with your clay sticking to your aluminum wire, you can always brush on some Bake and Bond before you add the clay. This is a nice trick. You don't have to do any wire wrapping or anything like that. Just brush on some Bake and Bond. Bake and Bond fixes everything. All right, now let's go ahead and create her rain boots. And now to finish off those socks, I'm using Clay Claim's silicone shaper tool to press in some wrinkles. I don't want to add any snakes of clay to this to create the wrinkles just because I don't want to add any more size to her legs. I just want to keep the size they currently are and make it look like they're wearing socks. So that's what I'm doing. All right, now let's finish off those rain boots now that the socks are done with some little thin sheets of clay. Now let's use this tool to create the soles of the shoes, and then add some seams, and then talk about our sponsor. Alright, now before we get into the rest of the video, let's take a second to talk about our sponsor, Squarespace. No matter if you're a big business, small business, freelance designer, or sculptor like me, Squarespace has everything you need to showcase your brand, sell your products, and more. I've been using Squarespace for 3 years now, even before they started sponsoring me, and I could not be happier with my experience. Their products are so streamlined and so easy to use that managing my website, aceofclay.com, is truly effortless. Some of my favorite features include the portfolios and galleries. With my line of work, I have to show my work to the world, and their beautiful portfolio options allow me to show it in its best light. I also recently opened my online store where I sell stickers, posters, and even original sculptures, and Squarespace makes it so easy. I can track my inventory, even print shipping labels. I get notifications when things sell, and everything is right there in the platform. You can even sell digital downloads. They really have everything you need to start selling online. And of course, at this day and age, you've got to have a social media presence if you're a business, and Squarespace allows you to seamlessly integrate your social media posts into any page of your website. So if everything I just said sounds good and you want to start your own website or online store, head on over to squarespace.com, start that free trial, and then when you're ready to open for business and go live, go to squarespace.com/aceofclay to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain using my code ACEOFCLAY. Thank you, Squarespace. Now let's finish off the bottom of her coat. I'm just using this nice sheet of clay, adding it to the bottom there to create a nice edge, and then I'm blending the top edge in with the rest of the body, like that, so it looks like it's all one piece. And she's now wearing a raincoat. It's not just a cone. Now let's add the zipper part in the front, like that. Blend the one edge in with the other side. And my fingertips are seriously my favorite tools. Like, I do as much as I can without picking up a tool before I absolutely have to. Okay, now let's create her hood, and I'm just, shaping out the hood like this. Creating this sort of like basket shape like that, and then we're just gonna blend it onto her back like so, and then create the sort of collar area going around the front. Now I want to finish off the front of her jacket with some seams and details, and then of course some little strings hanging from her collar. I made these out of cosclay so they don't break. Cosclay stays flexible after it's baked. Alright, now I'm really going to go in and smooth the heck out of her face using some clay softener and a very, very, very little bit of Bake and Bond. this mixture really helps to smooth out the face, and I know the magic of editing is there, but I spent a good like 20 minutes brushing that on. Okay, let's bake that, and once we're baked and completely cooled down, everything cured nicely, no cracks, no issues. Let's work on those arms. Just want to get them into their final position. I want one arm on her hip and the other one sort of just like hanging out there. Let's add our clay. These are nice chunks of snakes of clay that I've given a slit down the middle so that they're easy to roll onto my wire. And then let's just start shaping things out with that spoon tool, like that. Then we're going to repeat this process on the other side for the other arm after I get these wrinkles in. Now when you make arms, at least for me, it helps if I make them in 2 pieces so I don't lose my elbows. That's always what I recommend. Even if the arm is pretty much hanging straight like this one, it's always good to do it in 2 pieces. And then of course I put too much clay on, so I'm using my Excel blade to trim it down. Use code aceofclay at excelblades.com to save 15% on your purchase if you want to save money. If you need blades, go get them. Adding some wrinkles here with another clay claim tool and shaping things out. Now let's go ahead and get those final seams on and then start working on her hands. I made these out of cosplay too because she's got tiny, dainty little hands and I don't want the fingers to break. I don't feel like putting armature in them, so cosplay stays flexible and everyone's happy and it works out great. Tiny, tiny little hands. Let's go ahead and get the first one on and then create the second one the same way and get that on her hip. Alright, now moving on to her hair. I'm going to make her hair out of cosplay too, again for that flexible factor. I'm just brushing on some Bacon Bond to adhere the hair, and I put a little too much Bacon Bond on and it like made the hair slide everywhere and it was really annoying, but you don't see that because I edited it out. Okay, now let's go ahead and get that hair on, just adding it in different little chunks and then just getting everything into one nice even sheet before I start using my scissors to trim it to the correct length, and then I'll start adding the details to the hair with my Explorer tool. And that looks pretty good. The hair came out pretty nice. I was debating whether or not I should make it out of like yarn, but I just thought her raincoat is already clay. Let's just make the whole thing out of clay. This isn't a mixed media sculpt. Okay, it's all polymer clay. Let's get those details on. This took me a very long time, but it was very, very relaxing. So I enjoyed that. And then 4 hours and 30 minutes later, just kidding, we're gonna give her a neck and then stick her head on after adding some Bacon Bond, like so. Get that on there. And then she's ready to be baked once I smooth out her neck. Look at that, Coraline. Get in the oven. Alright, now that she's baked and completely cooled down, it's time to paint. All the wonderful paints that I'm using are Folk Art Matte acrylics. Just gonna get her skin done first, and then we'll start working on the 50 million coats it's gonna take to cover that yellow raincoat. The light acrylic colors, I don't care what brand of acrylic paints you use, it's gonna take you multiple coats. I think this took me a good 5 and it still didn't have the perfect coverage that I wanted, so I went in and did like a 6th one. So yeah, just be patient, just enjoy the process. Airbrushing, yeah, would probably be easier, but you know, I like making things harder than they need to be. Definitely got to get an airbrush though. I know how to do it. I don't know why I haven't gotten a new airbrush yet. Like my old one's just sitting in the basement, but okay, now I'm rambling. Look at those boots. Look at that. Look at this. I think this is coat number 3. And like I said, I think it took 6 total to get that Sculpey completely covered, which is fine. It's okay, I'm not mad. Now let's paint her hair this nice dark blue color. Look at that shot right there. Wow. Getting that color on. And I believe I got this color by mixing True Blue with some red, violet, and black. Alright, now let's go ahead and paint those socks. They are like light blue and reddish purple stripes. So I'm going ahead and painting the blue first because it's easier to paint the dark color over a light color than the light color over a dark color. Let's get those eyes on with some titanium white using the thinnest brush I have. paint her irises, really bring her to life here. And then I'm going to go on top of those brown irises with some lighter brown to give them some depth and dimension. Then paint her eyebrows with a very steady hand, like that. This was not a good eyebrow day for me, but they still turned out okay. And then I always like doing the eyebrows on the right side, so I flip her upside down to do the left one. There we go, check it out. Now let's give her some freckles. These are very, very light, you can barely see them. Alright, now let's go in and add that lighter brown that I mentioned earlier when I was getting ahead of myself. This really makes irises pop. If you just go a couple shades lighter than the main color, it really makes them look cool. And then after adding the pupil, let's really bring her to life with some little reflections, just a tiny little dot of white, both on the same side. Let's paint her lips, very light pink. And then I'm going to dry brush some lighter blue on her hair just to give it a little more depth. And then let's paint those purplish red stripes on her socks. Now let's finish her off by painting her base, a nice blue color, kind of the color of her hair, kind of not. Stick her on. Then I realized I forgot her ears and her dragonfly barrette, so I sculpted them out of epoxy sculpt and then let them dry overnight. Now I'm painting them. And it's like it never happened. It's like I never forgot. And in the outro, she is still missing these, so just ignore that. And I only thought that I forgot the barrette, and I didn't realize about the ears until later, so whatever, I suck. Anyway, let's paint the barrette. And she's done! My sculpture of Coraline is complete. Let me know what you think of her in the comments. I think she turned out pretty good. I think looking at her now, she could probably use a couple like accessories, whether it's like her backpack or her cat or something like that. I also forgot her little dragonfly barrette, but I'll have to stick that on later. All in all, I'm very happy with how she turned out, and I really, really hope you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed the process. And if you liked this video, let me know in the comments below and which Coraline character you want to see me make next. And then of course, before we close out, don't forget to grab your Ice Cream Man plush. Like I said earlier, he is only available for less than 10 days now. You gotta grab him now. We're almost to our goal. So click the link in the description box below to grab yours before he is gone forever. And as always, thank you so much for watching and being here. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Ace of Clay. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.